So our guest speaker for today is Mr. Sandeep Periwal, sir. Good morning, sir. On behalf of Birds Engineering Academy, I welcome you.
Thank you.
So, sir has completed his graduation in electronics engineering from DKT's Textile and Engineering Institute, Itsalkaranji. He is the founder CEO of 31 West Global Services, Bangalore. It is a leading call center and after hours of outsourcing company providing high quality, cost effective customer support, help desk, and back office services to small and medium businesses across the globe. That is established in 2002. They have worked closely with businesses from US, Canada, UK, Europe for their customer support requirements. It's great to have you, sir, today with us.
Thank you.
Sir, I request you to please share of your words of wisdom and your experiences and your views about robotics and industrial automation.
Sure. Thank you so much for the introduction. Appreciate that. Thanks a lot. Okay, everyone. Today we'll touch upon industrial automation or automation in general. I have a 15-minute time slot from Arjun. Thanks, Arjun. And I've divided into three time slots. So we'll try to cover the first 5 minutes. I'll quickly run you through industrial automation on the hardware side of it. We'll touch the next 5 minutes. We'll touch upon software automation. That's a very important aspect, and that complements the entire automation process end to end. And the last 5 minutes, we will open up the floor for question and answers. If any of you have any questions, please make a note of it. And during the last 5 minutes of Q&A session, I'd be happy to take any questions that you have related to the technology, what's going on in the market, scope, what to study, potential opportunities for your career, and anything else that comes to your mind. Right? Okay, so let's start. So primarily automation in the industrial sector is extremely crucial. Industrial sector is the one which employs a large amount of human labor, which is very expensive and difficult to get. So the industry is faced by both the challenges. How do you arrange for labor? And of course, labor is a huge cost component which weighs down on the profitability of any organization. Be it manufacturing, be it logistics, be it hospitality, be it healthcare, any of the industries you touch upon, you will find industrial automation to be the need of the hour to reduce cost and improve profitability. So automation can be very easily divided into two categories. One is hardware-based automation, robotics, and second is software-based automation, which is your AI ML, which is the new buzzword in the town today. So when it comes to industrial automation, it's more to do with robotics in terms of mechanics, the gears, the lifting of parts, the moving of parts, conveyor belts, and all of that. A classic example would be Amazon warehouse in the US. They are not having any human being. I mean, it's literally thousands of square feet of Amazon warehouses, picking up hundreds of packages and parcels and products every day from different shelves, which is actually as high as a 7-story building. They are carefully picked and they are placed in packages, they are sealed, and then they are pushed out into different zones, which are then delivering them to different regions. So imagine the scale of complexity that Amazon engineers are building constantly to reduce cost and reduce on the error rate which humans may tend to cause. This is one of the examples. Another very big example, a very big user of industrial automation is the automobile factories. Most of the automobile plants today, whether be it Suzuki, whether be it Toyota, whether be it Honda, Hyundai, all these have immensely automated plants where there is very little human, involvement. I think the initial video that we saw where, there were the robotic arms which were doing welding, picking up parts, placing them in exact locations and things like that. So that's another great example of immense amount of automation that goes in. Uh, Even when it comes to automation, the industry is always looking for fresh talent who can increase the accuracy. So, how small a part can you place at a precise location, which goes down to millimeters or even narrower than that. So that is the kind of quality or accuracy which the industry is expecting, and innovation is happening every day in the space. So that really covers the extent of hardware automation. So hardware automation is basically, again, you can put it into two parts. One is the mechanics part of it, which is levers and gears and pneumatics and all, which helps you lift things, move there, place here, position here, rotation, and all of that. And the software which controls all these hardware movements, which is most of it is done in MATLAB or similar few applications, which actually control using your digital analog to digital and digital to analog converters. And they convert all these signals, which is programmed, and then the specific action happens. So these small units which work together in a very large scheme of machinery, and then the actual goal of building a product happens. So agriculture has seen a huge amount of automation in the recent times, where the entire planting of seeds to harvesting to crushing the crops to filtering out and then having the last produce come out is automated. What other areas? So we've covered healthcare. That's another great place where there is a lot of innovation happening, where you have robots actually conducting an entire operation. Can you imagine, like, the precision which a robot can handle? There are doctors who could be sitting, thousands of kilometers away, and remotely they can control, see, and execute an entire surgery on a human being purely with the help of robotics. So, right from stitching to making incisions on the human body to going inside and removing your cholesterols, implanting different stents and all of that. Healthcare is another sector where there is a huge demand for automation. So once you learn the science behind automation, the amount of applications that you can work on, the number of industries that your employment or your skill sets will be in demand, the number of areas where you can actually contribute is infinite. And the future is all about automation. Your standard run of the mill work is no more in demand today. Everybody is wanting to build some sort of automation to reduce cost and bring in efficiencies. So that's as far as industrial robotics is concerned. I'll quickly touch upon your software or IoT based automation. So this is your AI and ML, artificial intelligence and machine learning, which is what Google, Microsoft, Oracle, all these companies are building, where they are trying to see if the software can learn by itself, based on human behavior, and then make predictive models. So if you are chatting on WhatsApp and you're discussing, let's say, a plan to go for a movie with another friend of yours, that information is captured, and then based on your interest, your location, your geographic presence, Facebook starts showing you ads related to movies, outings, entertainment, and all of that. So this is a very simple example, but just to show how automation and AI and ML are taking over the entire space, where you build logics and algorithms to automate and learn by themselves. So gone are the days when the logic has to be fed into the application. The application today learns by itself and starts to process and think. So basically, we are creating a science fiction movie, robots, where the robots actually have the brain of their own, and they learn and they interpret and then they take action. So there are a lot of areas where large organizations are doing cutting edge work. A lot of this cutting edge work is happening right here in India, in Amazon development centers, Microsoft development centers, Oracle development centers, SAP. All these companies have engineering centers in Hyderabad, Bangalore, Pune, Chennai, and they are all using these algorithms to bring in automation in the hardware space and the software space. So there's a huge amount of potential that's happening there. So it's a space that you really cannot miss out today. There are, apart from so unfortunately in the Indian engineering education space, these things are not taught. Your basic curriculum of the 4 years of engineering, if you plan to get there, is not going to teach you any of this. You will have to depend on external sources. There are tons of YouTube videos, classes, and all available, where they will teach you and explain you, introduce you to different algorithms and how to use AI, ML, and robotics to start building tools and applying them into industrial spaces, case studies, how these robotics were built and what kind of impact they have brought for the organization. That's a brief introduction for you guys as to what is robotics, some areas where robotics has been applied, and the future potential for robotics and industrial automation in the years to come. I think I've touched upon my time, so I'll be happy to take any questions that you have on the space. If you have anything, please feel free to ask.
Students can ask questions. Sir has given a valuable time, so we should take opportunity. Shruti?
Yes, sir.
You can put some questions to sir. If you want to get it clarified, sir is ours only. Don't fear. If your doubts are not that much good level, then also don't worry. Just put some your doubts to sir. If you want to know something from industrial side, automation side, you can put some doubts. Yes?
Sir, hello?
Yes, Shruti.
Sir, to get a good job in automation industry, how should we build our profile? I mean, do we need to do lot of projects, or I mean, what the industry, I mean, how the
I
candidates...
understand. Yeah. Okay. Got it. That's a very good question, Shruti, and it's very, very important today that when you are going after your studies, when you are applying for a job in the industry, let's face it, nobody wants to hire a fresher. We don't want to hire freshers. Nobody wants to hire a fresher. But at the same time, if you are a fresher with certain credentials, certain skill sets, then you are a very, very valuable asset. So along with your, what are you studying right now? I should have asked that. What exactly are you doing right now, Shruti?
Electronics, BTech in electronics.
And which year are you in?
3rd year.
Excellent. So 2 things that I would recommend to you. Point number 1, try to do as many internships as possible. Try to keep your focus of internships in the area that you want to build your profile in. Don't randomly do internships in any ad hoc company, in any ad hoc domain. That's going to add 0 value. Don't do internships for the heck of it. Do internships where you get to learn something good. Nobody is going to give you a very, very critical project because you are a fresher, you don't have any knowledge. But try to get an internship even at an entry level into an area that is relevant to you. So let's say industrial robotics. So try to get a job on the shop floor in a mechanics industry, where you can actually see robotics, you can understand what's going on, and you can pick up some tidbit of information. So first thing, which is very, very, very important for everybody, and I tell this to all students, try to do at least 3 or 4 internships before you complete your graduation. Summer internships are available, winter internships are available, ongoing internships are available. You have a lot of time along with your studies where you can do these contributions. Today, a lot of it is work from home, so you can take advantage of that and build your profile by working, by doing these internships. There are Internshala and a lot of these websites where you can post. Don't look for money, don't look for remuneration. Just find areas where you can learn, and you can get a simple certificate from the organization where you're doing the internship, where they can say that, okay, yes, you worked over here and you did this. Second, and the most important thing is there is a ton of information available free of cost online. There is Khan Academy, there's Coursera, there is YouTube. There is plenty of information that is available. You need to go out there, search that information, find some seniors on Reddit, on Facebook, and ask them what's going on in the industry right now. Try and get some basic information from these free channels. There are amazing videos out there that will explain to you different algorithms, how do they operate, what is the coding language and all of that. Once you have that information, and when you go for your interview, when you're applying for a job, you can highlight all these things. And this has a huge amount of value. And then people will say, okay, you know what, this person has done so much by herself or by himself. And then they want to hire you because they can see the drive and motivation in you. So two things: internships, at least 3 to 4 internships before you graduate, and do a lot of online learning that is available free of cost, no charges. Only thing that is required is your determination.
Okay, sir. Thanks a lot for your valuable advice.
Sure, you're welcome.
Priyanka Guru,
Yes, sir.
you can put some question. Everyone should put some question to sir. Sir will not be available again for you today. Pranav, Prajwal.
Yes, actually I wanted to ask a question.
Yeah, go ahead. Don't fear. Whatever doubts you can frankly ask to sir. Sir will explain you. You will not get answer again.
Sure, sir. Sir, actually I was checking your profile right now and I read about the Conversity, and I wanted to ask about what do you think right now is still missing from the chatbot and other technologies such as chatbot? What do you think that really needs to be improved in coming 2 or 3 years? What is your point of view? Because now you can see that everything that it revolves around the chatbot is generic, right? Because no specific company or entity is working some cutting edge technology with chatbots. Yeah, I think you got my good.
Sure, yeah. So Prajwal, just a quick question. What do you do?
I'm electronic engineering, same as Shruti.
Okay, third year student, right? Yeah, okay. So yes, chatbots. So there are two aspects to chatbot. The whole automation is where the chatbot started, and they were aspiring that the chatbot would be able to communicate and answer entry-level questions or basic questions, and reduce the number of people required to answer basic questions in different industries. To a certain extent, chatbots have been successful. So if you want to just do a simple inquiry about what is my bank balance, or what documents are required to open an account, a bank account, or what is the status of my flight, these kinds of very objective questions, the chatbot has been immensely successful in answering these questions, and they constitute about 70% of the inquiries that a call center receives, and they have actually managed to cut down on huge number of people by deploying these chatbots. Second is, I think chatbot has plateaued. It has already reached a certain level where there's not much of action or there's not much of innovation left in chatbots. Basic information is available today via apps, online available. So I don't really need to go to a chatbot to ask simple questions. It's all. I do a Google search, what documents are required to open a bank account in ICICI, and I'll get the information. I don't really need to go to ICICI Bank website, find a chatbot link, click the chatbot, ask my questions. Not relevant at all. So the relevancy of chatbot has reduced because the world is getting smarter, and with the world getting smarter, the simple questions, you don't really need to go to these bots. So I would say moving forward, the chatbot will probably plateau out, stay there, or probably decline. I don't see much of innovation happening in that space unless people come up. But what is interesting is that the learning that chatbot has given to the industry, to the software teams, development teams, project managers, that is now being used tremendously in the back end. So there is something called predictive analysis, okay, or predictive behavior. So today, software companies are using this predictive learning to predict exactly what is going to happen or how it is going to deal with its users. So there's a very interesting case study, and there are a lot of jokes on WhatsApp also floating about this. But very soon we will come at a time where Amazon is going to send you products based on your liking and requirement and your lifestyle. Automatically you will not have to place orders. So you will not have to say, okay, I want my 2 eggs today and I want a packet of bread or a bottle of milk. Amazon knows what's your consumption pattern. Amazon is going to know what is your stock, and Amazon is going to send you, your milk and your butter and your bread and your eggs and your fruits automatically, because it has so much of information. So this chatbot has helped the industry to learn and build AI, ML, artificial intelligence and machine learning, where the algorithms learn by themselves and they'll actually soon be able to start taking action. So in your area, if there is a dengue that is being rapidly spread, you will have 1mg or any of these online portals actually send you medications, without you even placing an order, saying that, hey, in your area there is dengue that's prevalent, please take this medications so you can prevent yourself from being infected. So that is where a lot of action is happening right now, and it's going to continue. There is a huge opportunity. I think there's a lot that can be achieved, and there's going to be an explosion in that area in the coming years.
Okay, sir. Thanks. That's what I wanted to ask about.
Sure, you're welcome.
But
Sir, compared to the BTechs, do companies prefer postgrads?
No. So what my suggestion would be, before you do your postgrad, you should work for at least 1 to 2 years, and then decide what space do you want to do your postgrad. Don't do postgrad just to get a job. It doesn't help at all. So let's say you graduated in 2021, for example, okay, or 2022 in your case, and Prajwal also graduates in 2022. Prajwal goes into a job and you go into masters. In 2 years you complete your masters, but Prajwal has 2 years of experience working in an organization. After that, he looks for a job. You will still be a fresher to the master's degree. So unless you want to get into research, you want to get into becoming a scientist or something like that, or you're planning to do a PhD or something like that, then it's a different story. Otherwise, I would say industry experience is more important than master's degree. Do 1 or 2 years of work experience. Understand what's going on in the industry. Understand what directions you want to take. Understand what are the skill sets in demand. And then you can pursue your master's, maybe in management, maybe in MTech, maybe in MSc, or whatever else the choices that you make. But what every company wants is somebody with experience. If you're a fresher, internship is an experience. If you already are working, then 1 to 2 years of work experience in your line is more important. Education can happen parallelly. Along with the job, you can very comfortably do your master's, MTech or MBA or whatever it is. But first and foremost, what people need is a valuable asset, and that value is not about education. It's about the knowledge that you have, and that knowledge comes by self-learning and by working. That's practical experience. So just having a degree of MTech is not going to get you a job any place.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Sure.
okay,